Hey guys, Andy back here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with Skaventide. So this is of course the launch box for the 4th edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, a game system which I have been a huge fan of in the past. Now I will admit Warhammer the Old World has taken over my passion for fantasy gaming over the last couple of months, and of course Age of Sigmar of course has fallen by the wayside. But with the launch of the 4th edition game system, I think there has never been a better time to jump back on board, play some games and see what the new system is like. Now Games Workshop very kindly sent me out the Skaventide box set for review, and unlike all of the English creators who would have gotten this thing weeks ago, this only arrived for me a couple days ago, so it leaves me with a short amount of time to create any form of content that you guys will find interesting or engaging. I could rush through painting something, but I think the first thing I wanted to paint was the big rat guy. He's awesome riding his mount, and I didn't want to rush through him in one day. So what I'm going to do with you guys here today is an unboxing and review. So I'm going to get the entire box built today, talk through some of the units, some pitfalls, maybe some things are a little bit annoying, and generally talk about the concept of this box set. Do I think that it is worth it, and for what you get inside? So that's what I'm going to focus on in today's videos. Hopefully you find it a little bit interesting, a little bit exciting, and of course the comment section is wide open for you guys to ask any extra questions you want in Skaventide, anything that I didn't cover that you really want to know the answer to before you feel comfortable placing the order with your box. If I can help you answer those questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Remember, I did work for Games Workshop for 15 years, so I know one or two things that most people probably wouldn't know. Okay guys, without further ado, let's crack on with this box set. Okay guys, so this is the new Skaventide box set. Now before I get into this video proper, I just want to say I understand that this will be an expensive box set and it will not be for everybody. But I don't think bombarding the comments with, well, comments about its price is going to help anything. It's not going to change anything. It's just going to be negative and kind of unwanted. So if you find it too expensive and it's not for you, that's fine. Just move along. But for me, I absolutely love it and I adore it, and I would have definitely picked it up for myself. In fact, I do need a second set because I plan on using the Skaven for my Old World army. So I need to start an entire Skaven Old World army, which means I'm going to need a lot more rats than this. So if I can manage to find my hands a second set of the rat side of it, I will do that. If not, I will probably pick up this whole second box again. Okay, so the first thing I noticed after cutting it out and having a look at it is the number of sprues. Now these box sets of course come around like Leviathan and Indomitus and all those kind of things before. It's still never, it's just always still kind of crazy when you crack open one of these boxes for the first time and start to take out the sprues. And you see the sheer volume of miniatures that you have to get through for this. Back in the day, we used to hold events in Games Workshop stores where the idea was you would go halves on this box set with somebody and then you would swap your halves, or each of you would buy a set and then you would swap. So you would get your 2 halves of Skaven or your 2 halves of Stormcast, which I think made it a little bit more kind of achievable or accessible for a lot of people. I remember doing that for things like Island of Blood, and it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of plastic here. Okay, for starters, that's a lot of plastic. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, there is a lot of miniatures inside of this box set. In fact, how many sprues are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I see what you did there. Okay, so after the sprues, we have now these things as well are interesting because a lot of people give out about the fact that these posters get damaged in the box set. That's their entire purpose. They are not actually posters. They are just cardboard cutout sleeve thingies. And their whole purpose is to protect your books from sprues. When these were first put into boxes, they were just plain cardboard, and they just decided to have a little bit of fun with it and add in some designs and stuff like that. So when people say, my sprues have poked holes in this, I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to, so they don't damage your book. So I know it's kind of crappy, but yeah, it does. You do get 2 of them in here, and neither of mine were too badly damaged, so they could definitely be used as posters. I use them as the backings for my cabinet shelves. As for the books in this, I was quite surprised at how well packaged they were. They felt like a premium package, like I'd ordered the collector's edition of something. And I felt kind of sacrilegious just tearing it open like that, but I'm not the kind of person that keeps things locked away, so I will definitely just crack it out of the paper and get stuck into it. And of course, with the box set, you do get 2 books. You get, of course, the 4th edition Age of Sigmar core book, which will have all the lore and background information and rules on this edition, and a book called Fire and Jade, which is for Age of Sigmar Spearhead. It's a whole book on the armies unit. Now, we've been specifically told that it's not time to show that off to you guys just yet, so unfortunately that has to go back in the box. And the rulebook feels a little bit thinner. I don't know whether they've taken some stuff out of it. They've kind of gotten rid of the bloat from the book. Maybe because the Spearhead is in a separate book or something, but it felt a little thinner than previous books, which I'm here for. Obviously, some of these books can seem like phone books. Not that some younger viewers will know what a phone book is, but anyway, beautiful book as always. They never let us down with their publications when it comes to books. They're always like top quality, beautifully etched books, engraved, all sorts of stunning stuff inside. The next thing you get is this. Now, this is not the first box set where I have seen this. It has actually been kind of the last 2 or 3 kind of collector's box sets that have had this. And it's just how they keep all the other bits and pieces neat and tidy and together and presented really well. So your instructions, your cardboard table for playing on, all your cards, all your tokens, they're all going to be stored inside this nice sleeve instead of rattling around inside the box against all the bases and sprues and stuff and perhaps getting damaged. So that means that all of your cards and all of those things come out of this box set absolutely perfectly. Nothing wrong with them. Once again, I'm not 100% sure what bits and pieces of this that I can show off just yet and what I can't. So I'm going to play it safe. I'm not going to be holding out loads of cards and showing you what the General's Handbook information and stuff like that is, just in case. Now, I appreciate these cardboard tiles. They are not what I play on, but I appreciate them being sent in with people who are kind of getting into it and they want to play their first few games. They are beautiful cardboard tiles, and what I tend to use them for now is photograph backdrops for me. So they're a very useful tool, but not as they're intended. But like I said, they're really nice. You kind of need 2 or 3 of them to get a big enough table. And I don't particularly like the sound of dice rolling on card, so it just annoys me. Okay, the instruction booklet is as per usual, except there's some measuring devices that are coming with this scenery sprue in this box, which I thought was pretty cool. So we're of course going to start with the beautiful new character on his mount. He is a big boy. He's obviously the commander-in-chief of the Stormcast in this set. He has quite a few pieces, and we're going to delve in and get him kind of chopped and changed. So the one thing that I'm going to do with you guys for this particular video is I'm now going to go through all the different units that we have in the box set. I'm going to build at least one of them from each thing. I'm going to talk to you about how they went together, how many parts they were in, that kind of stuff. Just to kind of brace yourselves for when you get your set, is it going to be the right thing for you? Or is the whole set the right thing for you? I don't know. So this guy is completely self-contained on one sprue, and I'm a bit of a heathen when it comes to stuff like this. Some people like going kind of box by box on the instructions, cutting out 2 or 3 pieces. I just like cutting all the pieces out and then doing a cleaning up all the pieces in one go, and then after that then assembling it all in one go. I know it's weird, but I find it's more therapeutic for me to do it that way. I get a little bit frustrated cutting out a part, cleaning it up, gluing it on, then going back, finding the next one, cutting it out, cleaning it up, gluing it on. I find that repetition just kills my motivation for constructing miniatures. This stuff, this Tamiya extra thin cement, buy this. It's not expensive. It's cheaper than Games Workshop glue. It lasts for a long time, and it is absolutely incredible. It's the only thing I will use to assemble plastic models these days. It's so much easier to control. It doesn't leave any kind of residue behind or anything like that. And you can even use it to fill gaps if you want to. It's also how you make sprue goo, which will be required for certain miniatures in this. I'm not going to show you how to do that, but... So with this guy, obviously he is cut out and he is cleaned up, and now it's time for the assembly process. You get a choice in heads with this guy, so you can get an unhelmeted head or the helmeted head. I always prefer a helmeted head if this guy's riding into war. I think he's going to be as protected as humanly possible. These are the pegs that I talk about. I talk about them at the end of this video actually, but I hate push fit miniatures. I think push fit miniatures are a real step back for designing models. It's almost like that whole, I don't know why their thought process is like, let's design miniatures that require no glue to put together. Why? We've been perfectly happy assembling miniatures with glue for the last 30 years. Why suddenly the push for push fit miniature? I understand this is for getting people into the hobby and getting them started, but after this box set they're gonna have to glue models together anyway, so they might as well learn this skill now. One of the things that I find which is really irritating with the peg design is like you'll get air bubbles that will like form. So you're pushing like kind of like the piston rod into the hole, and air is trapped behind it and pushing it back out again, especially if you use glue on it. So if I was doing this and not showing you guys what I do, I would mostly cut off most of the pins. I've done that many times before, got rid of the pins when I'm just glued around the outside. If you're going to keep the pins, one of the things I do thoroughly recommend is that you do not use the pins to put glue on. You put them on the seams, connecting the model, and you literally don't put any glue into the pins, because that's what's going to cause more air bubbles and cause more problems for you, I find. So this model is like 10 out of 10 for looks. Like, obviously that's a subjective thing, but I think Stormcast miniatures are gorgeous. I own every single one of them ever. He was fine to cut out and assemble. He's not too bad. Like I said, the pegs were really annoying. His downside is his cape. There's some weird connection point between two different folds on his cape, which leave you with this absolutely disgusting line right down the middle. I hate it. The only thing Games Workshop sells to solve gaps is liquid green stuff, and that stuff was also awful. Do not buy that. So yeah, it was a bit of a letdown for him. Obviously, he's going to be the most picked up and looked at piece on the Stormcast side, so it is a bit of a shame that he doesn't go together very well. Yeah, I always find it really annoying when capes don't go together very well, considering that literally you have all these already built-in folds, which make it extremely easy to hide stuff. So I don't know. So the elite Stormcast unit in the box set are these guys, and a polar opposite. Look at that cape, absolutely stunning. This model from start to finish was glorious to build. Only a couple of parts. The final result is stunning, and he even gets a little acolyte to go alongside him to support him in war. This guy's only 3 pieces as well, and he adds just this extra layer of character to miniatures. I love these like hangers on, if you will. I should really get the instructions so I can remember all the different names of these things. So the unit is called the Reclusians, and the Memorian is the guy that I'm building now. You get some Memorians with the squad. You got 2 of them, and or 3 of them, sorry. And they're really nice. Like I said, they just add that extra bit of character. They're another thing which also break up, I find, like army projects. If you're doing a Stormcast army, like even an older one now, not with these new sculpts, like the first edition of Stormcast, it was just gold armor and a little bit of blue cloth. And if you're doing an entire army project, that can get real tiring real fast. Whereas nowadays you do a Stormcast army and you get a unit of basic troopers, and sure, they're just going to be gold and blue, but then you get your Reclusians, and suddenly you've got capes and tabards and all that bit. Then you've got Memorians, and then you're going to do brown leather and all other bits and pieces like that. And it really does help to break up the entire project and just make it really nice and fun and enjoyable to do. This is the Lord Veritant, also a beautiful sculpt. Once again, comes on an individual sprue, so you may get him released individually down the way. He's really cool. Design-wise, I love him except for the kind of blindness. The fact he's got the bandage around his eyes and you can't see. He's not exactly an elf or whatever. Stormcast have never really been portrayed that way, so I'm not really sure how he fights or continues to fight on with that. Maybe it's something that will become clear in the battle tome. And if I had a proper read of it, maybe that would understand it. But for me, I don't like that aesthetic. I would much rather him have an armored helmet or a head that can actually see. There was a little bit of a problem with this guy, as he does come with a Gryph-hound, and the Gryph-hound is portrayed to be on, I believe, the wrong base. I have no evidence of it right now, I think, but I'm 99% sure it's wrong in the instructions, and it's a bit of a pain. So this guy was, of course, not the easiest to put together. His cape was really annoying, with the cape being in 2 halves. And once again, it's not like they followed like a natural curved line of, you know, the cape. It's suddenly just this like separate thing, and there's going to be a big line down his back, which is going to be really annoying that you're going to have to fill in. So here's the model here, and as you can see, it clearly states that the model is supposed to be on a 25mm base. Here is a 25mm base, and a base to show exactly what you mean. This is exactly 25mm. And as you can see, this thing does not fit the Gryph-hound. It spills over, his foot is hanging off the edge. It just doesn't make any sense. Whereas this is a 32mm base, and it fits it perfectly. I think this is definitely the base size it's supposed to be on. Now, the problem is not only is it wrong in the instructions, as in if they say put a 25 on, there is a 32mm in the box. But the 2 32mm you get in the box belong to the Skaven heroes on foot. So the Grey Seer and the Warplock Engineer. So I gave one of them to the bird, and all of a sudden when I got to the Skaven one later on, I did not have a correct base. Now luckily for me, I've got a million base lying around, so that's no problem for me. But for anyone else out there, maybe who's getting started or doesn't have a lot of spare bases, this could be a real issue for you. You couldn't suddenly sat there with the wrong size base, or not having a base for one of your characters, which can be kind of annoying. Here's this cape I was talking about as you glue it on. Like I said, it's in 2 halves, and I just genuinely believe that it's just poor craft, poor design when they do not connect cloaks or use the seams of cloaks to hide the mole lines. It's just irritating. As you can see, I'm fighting with this thing to go together, and because he's got 2 layers of cloaks, there's just, yeah. The goddamn pegs once again trying to line everything up and fit it together and make sure it all works. It just gets annoying. But anyway, luckily for this guy, he does have a shield which goes over his back, which covers it up. But you can see that line I was talking about, and I'm trying to push it back together again. Irritating, but we shall pass it by. He's scraping a little bit of extra glue off of the model. Accidentally left behind from the assembly process. So there he is, all built. He is a beautiful model and something I do look forward to painting. I've been looking forward to these as well because I own every single Stormcast miniature that has ever been released. I'm a huge Stormcast fan, and I never built the multi-part Prosecutor box set. Even though I do own them, I did buy them, but I never actually managed to get stuck in and get them built. So it was very nice to see a new sculpt of them. They were always an absolute pain for a lot of people to construct. They were either breaking off their flying stands or anything like that. It's just awful. I know that tactical rocks are not for everybody. I'm here for them. I like tactical rocks. I like the extra height given to flying miniatures and the no need for a flying stand. It works perfectly fine for me. If it's not perfectly fine for you, then you can of course buy flying stands if you want and replace these. It shouldn't be too hard to do. One thing I will say about these prosecutors, they are a little bit dainty, which I think adds to the aesthetic. They're a lot thinner, a lot sleeker, a lot slimmer than normal Stormcast, which makes sense if these guys are going to be the airborne fighters. If you're wearing, monumental amounts of plate armor, it would be a lot hard to become, I don't know, aloft, flight worthy. This is obviously the sergeant of the squad, the Prosecutor Prime. So he gets the glorious trident. I love tridents. I think they're just an awesome weapon. They make me happy. So yes, I definitely had an excuse to glue that on, so I went for it straight away. I would definitely like to get my hands on more of these as well. I would love to run maybe 2 squads of 6 of these just to see that, like, how that looks on a table. I think it's incredible. So these guys, once again, a 5 out of 5 for me for them. Absolutely flawless. I think they're incredible. The standard new Liberators are really cool as well. Obviously, they're a lot sleeker, a lot thinner, and a lot taller than the previous Stormcast, who were quite round. I never had a problem with the old Stormcast. I have loads of them, all of them painted. You do get the option to give them with hammers and shields or dual hammers, which is a nice touch to give them in a kind of like a starter box. Usually they wouldn't do that. You would have to wait for the multi-part to come out to give you that option. I, for one, I'm a sucker for shields. I think shields are beautiful. They add so much color and vibrancy to the army, give you that excuse to put that color there. So I decided to go for shields. Maybe that's a poor choice. I don't know, but I know I'm going to enjoy the aesthetic of the miniature better with the shield. The model's only 5 or 6 pieces, so they go together really fast. No gaps, no breaks, no nothing. It was a dream to put these guys together. And they're posed really, really well. As he coming down with his hammer with his shield upright, protecting him. I always like when they put the extra effort in to pose a miniature correctly. And I like that they give you the extra little tactical rock, this guy. In this case, a skull to fix the other hole in the base. And you get this, like, look at that as a basic line trooper of an army. It's just incredible. I remember back in the day, like literally back in the day, 30 years ago, this guy would have been the greatest hero to ever see a tabletop, and now he's a line trooper for an army. Is insane. So of course we are now moving over to the Skaven side of things and building probably, yeah, definitely my favorite miniature of this box. The Rat Ogres get me a lot as well. They're incredible. I really like those sculpts, but this guy is definitely, I think, my favorite. This is the Claw Lord on Gnaw Beast. And just like when I was building the boss of the other thing, I cut out absolutely all the pieces and spend my time cutting them out, getting rid of all the flash and mole lines. I will say about this entire box set, the mole lines were fantastic. There was very few there, which is always a really nice thing because it is such a time sink to remove mole lines. And a lot of people, especially new people coming into the hobby, won't remove mole lines, which means you'll get a negative effect on the final result of your box set. And nobody wants that. So having these really awesome pieces, which are kind of having less and less mole lines these days, is fantastic. So obviously another thing, which is they usually don't take into consideration, obviously they didn't take it into consideration with the Stormcast Beastie, is the concept of painting him. How hard will it be to paint that whole thing in one go? Whereas with this one, I think they put some thought in, and you can both build the rider and the beast separately and keep them both separately for the duration of the painting and then glue them on at the end, which I think is really nice. Not all the time is that possible. And when that's not possible, I find that to be super annoying why they didn't think about it. This guy went together like a dream. I had absolutely no problems with gaps or lines or assembling or any flat. He's just so perfect. He's just a beautiful, beautiful model. Now, one thing that I will confess to is that I am not gluing any of my Skaven miniatures to their bases. They are just using the pegs to hold them on because I'm 90% sure that my Skaven miniatures are all going to be used for an old world Skaven army. So I'm going to be putting all these guys on square bases and then going from there. So I think so. I'm not 100% sold just yet. Maybe Age of Sigmar 4 is the best game since sliced bread, and once I start playing it, I'll want a Skaven army. It's possible. But for now, I'm fairly sure it's going on. So obviously we have the new cannon as well. We're going to be skipping over the Grey Seer and the Warp-like Engineer because they're just simple sculpts. Absolutely no problems with them whatsoever. Just like the Nobbies, they were great. The only problem I had was that I was missing a base because I used it for the Gryph-hound earlier in this set. Now, this big beastie, which is a Rattling Warp Blaster, is obviously a step up from the old Rattling Gun, which I do hope we do get back, the kind of squad support weapon for a squad of clan rats. I thought they were always a lot of fun, and I would much rather have some of those back, I guess, especially because I'm trying to use this army for the old world. Rattling guns are going to be super important. So cutting out all these pieces. Now, this is one where the pegs will be super annoying and also kind of vital. There's certain points where if you didn't have the pegs, it would be really hard to line this thing up and know where which kind of bit started and which ended, which is the kind of haphazard nature of building a Skaven contraption like this. So once again, it's an unpredictable Skaven war machine. A random number of shots, random damage, all sorts of craziness goes on with it. It can explode. It's exactly what you want in Skaven warfare. And I'm obviously going to push myself with my Skaven to learn to use kind of brasses and bronzes a lot more, because that's kind of the colors they go for with their color scheme. And especially on something like this, there's so much kind of like clockwork and cogwork stuff inside of it. Now, was this a pain to build? Surprisingly, no, it wasn't too bad. And when it comes to the idea of how to build and paint it, is there a way of leaving it all kind of separate? Yes and no. I think at the end, will be able to leave it in two halves. So basically have a top half and a bottom half, which I think is all you will need to paint it to a nice standard. Obviously, all the guys pushing it along the side are holding onto the side of the thing. So like this, I think it's fine to get in around that. Some sides, it's going to be a little bit of a pain, but I think you make it work. And then the whole cannon as a top piece can get painted up and glued on separately. And I think it'll be easy enough to do. If you did glue the top and the bottom on, I don't think it's the end of the world. But I think it'll be much more annoying painting the guys pushing the Rattling Warp Blaster off into combat. So no problem building it. It's just a really cool piece. Really happy with it. Don't exactly know what I'm going to use it as in the old world. Probably just a Warp Lightning Cannon. Now the Rat Ogres. Oh, these guys are so cool. I've always been a huge fan of Rat Ogres, and it's been something I've wanted to paint for a while now. So you do get 3 beautiful Rat Ogres. And once again, surprisingly, you do get options in the set if you so choose to give them their shooting option or just their hand weapon option. You do get that in the box set as well. So I thought it was really nice of them that they bothered to do that. Like I said, it's not usually that they give you options for starter boxes, except for usually helmeted or unhelmeted heads for characters. So I will definitely take that. Assembly of this guy was, of course, once again, very straightforward. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. I think the only problems in this set that I really had was the first guy, the boss of all the Stormcast. I just wasn't happy putting him together. There's just lots of gaps, and especially in his cape. But look at this. What a piece. Like, as soon as this thing is built, I want to spray it and start painting. And when a model gives you that feeling straight away, I think that's a good thing. He gets a choice of 3 different heads as well. So if you decided you wanted to have multiple packs of Rat Ogres, you could have them looking different. This guy would have a different arm, different head, and then obviously you could paint him a little bit different to change it up a little bit. The Warp-lock Giselles will, of course, be the next unit, the snipers of the Skaven world. You can interchange these as well. Like I said, I want to have 6 of these guys for my old world unit. 3 I don't think is enough. And obviously the front guy who's supporting and holding the shield and being the brace for the Warp-lock rifle is interchangeable all the way across. So you can mix and match the shooters with the shields. So I reckon you will end up with 6 fairly unique looking kind of miniature bases. And then with a bit of clever work with paint, I think the squad will look fairly epic. And when they're ranked up, I think they're going to look great as well.
Trying to decide which guy to do, of course, was a whole other ball game. But in the end, I got this guy. So even the guy with the shield has got his blade drawn and ready. So in case the unit gets charged, he can defend himself a little bit. Just really cool. Simple models. But once again, another unit, another kind of fan favorite of the army is the... You don't get a lot of snipers in the old world or fantasy games. So it's really cool to see one of these. And it's one of the old school style looking rifles. You know, something you'd seen in an old Western movie. So I just love that. The basic clan rat, something that I didn't think needed to be changed at all. I thought the original sculpts they had were perfect. And then they come along and knock them out of the water with this. So I'm going to build just the clan leader, the claw leader, the sergeant, if you will. Oh my god, the different characters are... I didn't realize that the clan, because I was like, you get different head options for the characters, 3 different heads for this guy, and I just thought they were different options, but it's Verminous, Eshin, and Pestilence are the 3 options you get for the head, so that's really cool. I never noticed that. I like they thought about that. So I've done the Verminous one with the armored head. He's got his shield in a low position behind his back, and then of course his blade in the air so he can inform everybody around him that he is indeed the one in charge. This is another one that as soon as it was built, I was super excited to paint. It's a great pose, open, really easy to paint. What color scheme I'm going to go for my Skaven army? I just don't know yet. There's a lot to choose. So that was me basically building one of absolutely everything from the Vermintide box set. I'm being, for the most part, pretty impressed. It was only a couple of capes that let me down, a couple of misnumbered pieces for things like bases, which of course was really annoying. Hopefully it's not too annoying for the people who are low on bases. But I'm so excited to bring you guys the rest of the videos.
Okay guys, there's my first experience with some of the miniatures from the Skaventide box. Well, pretty much all the miniatures from the Skaventide box, except for the duplicates, obviously. The Stormcast side was particularly nice. I very much enjoyed the small on foot characters. I think they went together beautifully and they look absolutely incredible. The miniature on the big chicken, which I can never remember the goddamn name of, is a very nice miniature. He does not go together very well, and the gap in his back, how his cloak goes together, is a nightmare. I think it's really poorly designed. I'm really not a fan of push fit miniatures. I think they have kind of lessened the quality of miniatures over the years. I get the idea of trying to construct box sets without using glue for new people getting into the hobby, but we all started in the hobby by gluing miniatures together, so I don't think it's a really big deal. And like I said, I think it's lessening the miniatures. They're just not fitting together very well. You're getting air gaps between like the pistons, and it's pushing parts apart, and it's just awful. I hate it. So if you are confident with your clippers and your knife and your glue, I do recommend you just cut off all the pins for all these miniatures and just glue them together yourself. I think it will just give you an easier time assembling them, and I think you will get a better result at the end. So that's just him. Like I said, the on-foot characters are amazing. The new prosecutors, the flying ones, are stunning. They're very slight. I'm not a person who dislikes tactical rocks. Tactical rocks are cool for me, so it gives this guy an air of height. No flying stand required. Sets a really nice tone. Love it. The Skaven side is all incredible. The warp lightning cannon-y thing, which isn't a warp lightning cannon, it's a giant rattling cannon, is it was okay. It was a little bit of a pain to build, but you kind of expected that by looking at it. But once again, it was the pins that stopped it being easy, so that's annoying. Everything else went together like a dream. The 2 on-foot characters were fine. The Grey Seer, a little bit annoying. The Warlord on his mounted beastie was a dream to put together. It may be my favorite miniature in the entire set, and one that I'm so looking forward to painting up and giving you guys a video of. Same with the Rat Ogre. I know that out of this box set, I'm probably going to do about 6 videos, 3 videos per side. I know that I'm definitely going to be doing the 2 big characters as videos. So then I get to do 2 of each side, and that's about all time will permit me to do with these guys. So I'm fairly sure it's going to be the Rat Ogre because I think it's amazing and I love it. I don't know what else to do from the Skaven, and I don't know what the other 2 videos should be from the Stormcast. So that's what you guys can chime in. Let me know in the comments below which ones you would like to see. And if you have any specific Stormcast chambers you want to see, or any specific clans from the Skaven that you want to see, put that in the comment as well. Maybe you will sway me. So yeah, all I can say about the Skaventide box set is it's really cool. Great selection of miniatures. You get some absolutely incredible books. I'm playing it on the air of caution. There are specific things in the books that we are allowed to show off, and specific things in the books that we are not allowed to show off just yet. And because of that, I'm just not going to show off any of it just in case. But we will show them off to you in the next couple of weeks. They are really nice though, and especially the extra one for the Vanguard game looks incredible. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, it wasn't my original plan with the Skaventide box set right now. I wanted to do a painting video first off, but the box set arrived quite late. So this is about all I have time to do for you guys today. So hopefully you got some genuine use out of it. You're looking forward to the rest of the videos in the series, and you got something out of it. So thank you so much for sticking around to this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like. Ask me a question you want in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe. And if you want to support the channel even further, check out the links below for my Patreon. You get access to a private Discord server and access to an extra vlog style video every single day from me posted on Patreon, keeping you guys up to date with what's going on in the hobby day to day. All right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around at the end. I'll see you in the next one.